extract a couple of these DBs so we can get it to the main dog. Yeah,
Because there is a main dog, and it's CeeDee Lamb.
he's going to be everything, which is when we
I
get to
love
that,
seeing him put an 88 on a receiver in there. Oh, in
it's
that team.
fantastic. He deserves it
Every
too.
every time.
Nice. You could rock with that the whole
Some
time,
new
man. That's fun.
location.
There you go.
I can hear that fake wind.
I know, right?
Fake.
Whistling.
Fake.
Dude, he's on the beach, dog. I don't know what you're talking about. He's down there in Maui.
It's that hoodie. It's that hoodie that fucks me up.
Should we get into it? Oh, goddamn. Dude, how are you breathing out there? So what are we saying? Okay, what we're gonna do this week, we took a week hiatus. We finished the AFC. We're starting off the NFC this week with the NFC West. Means we're talking Seahawks, Niners, Cardinals, and the Los Angeles Rams this week. So clearly there's a favorite. I mean, far and away.
Not just a favorite. This division
yeah.
feels pretty easy to pick front to back, I think.
I think down at the bottom you got an argument to be made, but I think they think the Niners are clearly at the top.
Yeah.
So
I think Jake's right. I think 1 through 4 is pretty obvious out the gate.
I mean, we all agree San Francisco #1. We all agree Arizona probably last.
I don't know. I think you can argue between
Arizona. The argument is Seattle and Arizona.
Yeah. Rams are solid too, I think.
Easily too.
Yeah. So I think the Seahawks have a horrendous defense, and so does Arizona. So it's really who's better on offense, you know? And Arizona's got some guys now, so it could be, those could be interesting games between those two. But
they have a quarterback who hasn't finished the season too.
Yeah, but the last time he did, they started off the year like 10-0. So but we'll see.
Didn't that feel like 7 years ago?
It does feel like a while.
It was only 3 years ago.
Feels like a lot longer, doesn't it?
It
does.
does.
A long time though in the football
in the league. Yeah, absolutely, it is. But there's some optimism there. They brought in the right guys that they needed on that offense, I think, to revamp it a little bit. Their defense is still going to be horrible though. So, I think should we just start by talking about the Niners?
Start by talking about the Niners.
Yeah, let's do it.
All
so, right. I mean, obviously, you have Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, coming out of nowhere the last couple of years and proving that Shanahan is a god on offense, and he can plug almost any quarterback into his system. And if
he made Matt Ryan an MVP,
yeah, and he made Jimmy Garoppolo a thing. And he made this kid a thing.
Did he make Jimmy Garoppolo a thing?
Yeah, man, he went to
Jimmy Garoppolo was almost a thing.
Jimmy Garoppolo was almost a thing before Kyle Shanahan, though.
It was almost a thing a couple times. Yeah,
I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo got sold to Kyle Shanahan because he was almost a thing.
If anything, that's a deterrent. That's
the mark against his record. That's the one mark.
Because you couldn't make Jimmy G a thing when he
but nobody could. So
I disagree. In the time that Jimmy G was there, they had a ton of success.
They were.
He also couldn't make Trey Lance a thing. He also couldn't make Trey Lance a thing.
Well, he gave up on Trey Lance immediately. They never gave him a chance. So, Trey Lance.
They never gave him a chance. Hold up, they spent 3 first-round draft picks on that man. They never gave him a chance.
They didn't give him a chance. He played 1 game in the rain. He played the next game, didn't play well, and then they were like, "Hey, see you, kid."
Wait, so we agree? So we all agree that Brock Purdy is just a plug-and-play quarterback, then?
I think so, but I think Purdy shows a lot of mental ability.
Kirk Cousins.
To handle the moment,
you put Brock Purdy on the same level as Kirk Cousins already.
I didn't say that. I said they come into the league similarly, and have gotten results similarly. Kirk Cousins did it regardless. Wait, was Kirk Cousins a Kyle Shanahan guy?
No, Kirk Cousins.
Wait
was,
a minute.
In Washington.
I know, but who was there?
It wasn't Shanahan. Shanahan was in Atlanta. He was not in.
There was a time, I think, when Washington had like Shanahan, McVay, and McDaniels.
Well, Shanahan definitely brought up all them young guys. Like, there's so many head coaches now.
I think Shanahan had Kirk Cousins. Hold on, I gotta find out. Hold on.
It's like Shanahan and Andy Reid have put so many guys into head coaching positions around the league with who they've brought up. Because LaFleur was with all those guys too. He was part of the Shanahan crew.
Well, Cody does
Yeah, I
some
don't know.
research.
Yeah, let him figure it out. So, I mean, Brock Purdy, the only reason I'm looking
Shanahan
at
had Kirk Cousins.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Good deep cut.
I
Good deep
forgot.
cut.
I forgot because Mike Shanahan was the coach that drafted RG3, and his son Kyle was the offensive coordinator.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Okay.
Wait, where? When?
Wow. Back
Washington,
when
12 and
back
12.
when old man Shanny was in the league
Oh,
still.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there
Offensive
you go.
coordinator
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan. How about it,
Wow.
boys?
Couldn't even make
Wow.
Kirk Cousins happen.
It's the same. Yes, he did. Kirk Cousins
I
is the
mean-
richest quarterback that's ever lived.
Yeah, okay.
He does get paid. And he's
There are
He's a
also
plug-and-play guy.
different
He's a plug
skills
and play
measured on, I suppose.
They are.
Kirk
Yeah.
Cousins
Just
does not show up
time-wise.
in the big game, but he shows up in the average game.
Hey, same with
In the-
Brock Purdy, right? You put him in the playoffs when his team needs more than just a guy.
Well, who would you rather have on your fantasy
Mm.
team this year? Brock Purdy, right?
Well, yeah, because Kirk Cousins isn't in San Francisco.
Exactly.
I think there's a debate to be had. Kirk
There is a
Cousins
debate to be had.
in Atlanta could be very good as well if
It's
he
true.
comes back right. So
It's very true.
One of
I
them's
mean-
ADP as the back end QB1. The other one's very mid range QB2.
that's why I would have Kirk Cousins. I'm not spending a 13th.
That's a good
You
point.
know, I'm not taking Brock Purdy as a QB1
Those are the kind of stuff
because
we need to chew
they
on.
lose one guy in that offense, and specifically one with the last name Samuel, and that team doesn't know how to run the offense anymore. Like
True.
that team was completely lost when they had their 3-game, 4-game skid there, where
Mhm.
all of a sudden they looked like world beaters till like everybody could beat them. It was when Deebo Samuel was out. He
You're right.
does everything in their offense. So
Changes
To be-
everything.
To be
Yeah.
honest, I think if CMC were to go down, you'd see similar results.
yeah, I mean, in like CMC, Debo, or Kittle. Obviously, Debo and CMC more, but
I
like,
think
they get hurt
Kittle.
with Kittle.
I think
Way less so
Ayuk.
Kittle.
I think Ayuk, if he goes down, you also see a huge difference. God, they're a little more. They're a little more reliant on all those fucking stars. Now I think about it.
I think Ayuk is more easily replaced by a Juwan Jennings and a Ricky Pearsall at like
We just-
70%
It's
of
kind of
his output.
system based too,
Yeah.
though. Because like
Yeah.
if they lose one of their stars, they look completely different. But because the people can match up with them, you add that +1, and they have somebody that is outmatched on every play. You know.
Yeah, well, and the problem is that Debo can do things that none of the rest of them can. Debo can run out of the backfield. Debo can run motion. Debo can go deep. Debo can go across the middle. He can do all of it. He can block. He's a huge emotional leader for that team. If you watch that receiver documentary and what he meant to them when he was on the field and when he wasn't, like that
Mhm.
stuff matters. You know, they're real people. And when you don't have the veteran leader out there doing his thing, it takes some morale hit on the team, you know?
That's
So,
true. The Debo and
Mhm.
Ayuk relationship reminds me a little bit about Amari Cooper when CeeDee Lamb was first coming into the league. Definitely like big brother vibes a little bit.
yeah,
Veteran presence, kind of.
totally. And I mean, so, you know, Brock Purdy is what Brock Purdy is. I think we know what he is. I think he's a solid quarterback in that system. I think
Mhm.
you go throw him into an offense and make him have to be the guy that makes the offense go, and he massively struggles. Maybe he grows into that over his career, but I don't really see the arm talent, and I don't really see like the intangibles there for him that he could just go into like a Carolina and make it happen. You know
He
what I mean?
reminds me exactly of Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. So I think Kirk Cousins can make it happen a little bit more than he can, but that's
Only
just-
because he's farther along his career.
yeah, that's fair.
He looks like
Kirk
a third
was-
year Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, Kirk was a lot different when he was younger.
Mhm.
But anyway, we should move on. Talk about, you know, I think the last thing I'd say about Purdy is that if you do take a Debo or an Ayuk early and then you
Mhm.
wait on quarterback, take Purdy. Just make sure you back him up. Maybe you take Purdy and Cousins.
Well,
'Cause
Purdy's,
one of them's gonna do
Purdy's
it, you know?
draft position is the back of the 7th round. You could get Kirk Cousins almost the 10th round. So
That's
the
what I'm saying.
values.
Yeah, you will not see Brock Purdy on my team because of exactly that.
Yeah, well, there's other guys too. Like you could get Baker Mayfield and get almost the same amount out of him. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
The interesting thing that I want to talk about in this team really is about Christian McCaffrey. So like obviously first round running back, obviously by the numbers.
First overall pick.
Well, you would think
Most
so.
likely,
But
hmm
I'm gonna have a hard time if I get the first pick because it's tough to look at all the history of all the running backs that have had 400 touches in a year, and then for the last 25 years, see how many of them actually finish in the top 10 It's
And
been
how
like
many of
four of
them?
them.
How
It's been
many
like
of them
four of
finish at
them.
the top back to back, man? Like the stock market tells you when everybody else is buying, that's the best time to short that shit.
The three names that have done it, okay, way back in the early 2000s, LaDainian Tomlinson did it twice, okay, Hall of Famer. And then later
Christian
on,
McCaffrey's gonna be a Hall of Famer.
he
Yeah,
will
that's
be
why
the
he
next one.
could do it, but like,
But the odds
Anyway,
are against him, man.
the other
You've had a
names.
lot of the other names are Adrian Peterson did it once, and then Zeke Elliott did it twice. So
Zeke's good.
and he
yeah.
had that offensive line that almost nobody had too, you know?
I mean,
Well,
make
and
that
that's the
argument about
thing.
San Francisco. They got a good line.
Yeah, exactly. I suppose that's true.
They do have a good line, but they're really the only really superlative on the line is Trent
Mhm.
Williams, and he is much older. Like, he's getting older every year. And one of these years he ain't gonna hold up, you know.
I hope
I
it's
mean,
this year. I'm sick
he's
of
a
it.
bad
But we
he's a
talked
bad
about
man.
when all the
man.
Niners guys are healthy, they have to one-on-one McCaffrey a lot. And when you have to one-on-one that man, he's gonna embarrass you.
All right, so if you're not feeling him 101, Patty, what are you feeling?
I'd be happy if I was like the third pick and he came to me. Sure.
Okay.
But I just think if I'm waiting it, okay, like if I have the 101 and instead of McCaffrey, I go CeeDee Lamb, assuming the holdout thing gets cleared up, otherwise I'm not taking him. Or Tyreek Hill, right? Or even
Tyreek
Jamar
Hill.
Chase. It's probably Tyreek or
It's
CeeDee,
probably Tyreek.
maybe 5% Jamar.
Bijan.
Okay? Bijan's not that high up. There's other guys before him. And so maybe for Jake.
We're gonna say the name Bijan in every episode.
Well, I mean, he's fun, So, but if the reason is there's way less injury risk for those other guys. So the risk of having, and we've seen it happen with McCaffrey before. I had him on my team when he did it last time. Okay, and it's miserable to have that happen when the 101 tears his ACL. You're almost assured to not win a championship. Like
Nick Chubb, I know. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's impossible, So I'm risk adverse to that. And then having looked at the history and what happens, I know who he is, I know what he can do, but I also know that he's been injured before, and I know how much toll he had put on his body last year.
His first three, let me enter this to add to that because I agree with you. His first 3 years, he played all 16 games of the season. The next 4 years after that, he played 3 games, he played 7 games, he played 6 games, he played 11 games. Last year was his first year back to playing. He missed 1 game, so he played 16 out of 17. So, I mean, you either think that he's trending to do it again, or you think that, oh, wow, he really did it, and maybe expect a little bit less this year.
Interesting.
Because he's only finished an entire season, if you count 16 out of 17 as close enough, once out of the last 5 seasons.
What are the reports on him working out with Marshall Faulk again this offseason? Because if he's doing that, then I'm down for it. That was his secret sauce last year, apparently, that he called in Marshall Faulk. He's like, how are you staying healthy, dude? Because Marshall Faulk was on the field like all the time.
Every day.
Yeah, dude. So he brought him in to show him what was up. Apparently it worked.
He's 28 years old, so he's got a season or two before that magic number. So maybe maybe it is the number 1 pick, and it's a no-brainer. And the fact that we're questioning it for his final ascension to the top,
It's true. I think the window is it's gonna close in 3 years, regardless. I think if I'm 1-on-1, I gotta take the best CMC that will ever exist, possibly, right?
I mean, you'll be sad if he tears the roof off again. But what are you gonna say, Jake?
Oh, I mean, just the fact that they already almost had some turnover in their wide receiver room this year. The other talent's going to leave. It's gonna be a different look as early as maybe next season. So maybe the coal's hot.
Well, and that transfers us right into talking about the wide receivers, because although San Fran has continued to say that they have no plans to trade Ayuk asked for a trade, because they have not shown him that they want him to be there in terms of the dollar signs. So,
I mean, same conversation as Debo last year, right?
Yeah, I just think I never really thought
he didn't go nowhere.
That this offseason that Debo was going anywhere, especially after watching that show. After watching that show and seeing his interaction within the team, I was like, there ain't no way that dude's leaving. He is San Francisco football. Like,
Ayuk reportedly, as of 4 hours ago, did show up to training camp. Even though he requested a trade, he is showing up.
He ain't going nowhere.
he's probably not going
He
anywhere.
ain't going nowhere.
So I think you're going to run it back with pretty much the same squad, and then it's a fight for wide receiver 3 between the rookie and Juwan Jennings, right? Between Pearsall and Juwan Jennings. I don't know a lot about Pearsall. Obviously, he was a great talent down in Florida, good enough to get drafted in the back of the first round. So in a heavy wide receiver class, so he's got to have something, I just don't know a lot about him to talk about him.
Who do you like better between the top two? Because their ADP is exactly next to each other.
I want Debo. Because they make a point to involve Debo in every single game. Okay. Obviously Ayuk is a great talent too, but there's an emphasis that
Debo's a little different.
Yeah. He can get the ball in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And when Debo has a game, Debo has a freaking game, dude.
Yeah, he puts up like 31.
Yeah, dude. Like, he goes nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And Ayuk
He does tend to miss a little bit more time than Brandon Ayuk, but I wouldn't say it's by a margin.
Yeah, just by nature of the way he plays. But, that's also the reason why he has such a high ceiling, because he's impossible to tackle in the open field. Like, he has one of the strongest lower bodies of any wide receiver in football. Like, he's built like a brick shit house, So
would there ever be a world where you would be okay with having both of them on your team? Because if one of them misses time, the other one's most likely going to have a great week.
You have to take them too close together, and I'd rather have, if I'm taking Debo, maybe I'm like the 12th pick or something, right? And at the back of the first round, maybe I take
You think you're getting Debo at 12?
Oh yeah, dude.
I think that's high. I think that's high is what I'm saying. I realize my tone seemed different.
Is wide receiver 14. You're not even getting him as a 12th wide receiver. He's going 26th off the board.
Yeah. So, well, if you're going to get him, you're going to have to be like the 4th or 5th pick to come back around on Debo for the ADP price, right? So something like that.
Yeah.
If my math is right.
That seems a lot. I was thinking you get him at that first turn. I'm like, God, that seems high as shit.
Well, going early to mid third round.
You might be debating there at the end of the first round. In our league, there's going to be more wide receivers there because there's going to be 1 or 2 running backs that typically in other drafts outside of our league go into the second round, but they're going to go first round in our league because that's what our league does, So you're going to have, I think Jonathan Taylor and Jahmyr Gibbs are probably going to go first round. And then you might even see the number 6 slide in there or something like that. You know what I mean? Saquon might go first round in our league too. But which if that happens, you're going to have so many guys at the end of round 1. Like, you're going to have Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Marvin Harrison,
London. I just still can't buy that. I still cannot purchase.
I haven't seen him do anything yet. And I know the stories behind the Falcons offense the last couple of years, but I just have seen nothing.
You got to trust the numbers, dude. His numbers are fantastic. His open score, his numbers. If you go on PFF,
don't look at receiving yards or touchdowns, Jake.
Yeah, because they didn't throw him the ball where he could catch it.
But are you going off numbers that aren't relevant to fantasy football?
Okay, do you have a quarterback that can sling a pass that can be caught? Yes, you do.
These are all very true, but just we're in Atlanta again. We just keep falling in Atlanta.
Well, we're talking about where the guy's going, but anyway, we should get off of this.
He's combined. He averages 3 touchdowns a season. So
he had a guy who might as well be flipping burgers at the stadium.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
You know what I mean?
But again,
burger
I haven't seen him do anything. So, I've seen really good wide receivers be productive with shit quarterbacks before.
I mean, Garrett Wilson had a better year, and he had a terrible quarterback too. So Garrett Wilson's a better talent for sure. Taking Garrett Wilson all day over Drake London, but that's.
I think we all are.
They're going close to each other though. Like, Garrett Wilson's number 8, and Drake London's
I'm gonna let Austin take Drake London.
Yeah, I mean, if it's between those 3, I'd rather have Garrett Wilson and then Marvin Harrison and then Drake London. Mm-hmm. So, but anyway,
are there any receivers in San Francisco that aren't named Debo or Brandon that
The one Patty was talking about, not knowing much about.
Yeah. You take him late as a wide receiver flyer because the one of them goes down.
How late's he going to go?
He goes off the board at like wide receiver 50.
You talking about like Ricky? 60. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Wide receiver 76.
Oh wow.
Currently for half PPR on fantasy.
So he's a lot higher in best ball because
he's a lotto pick at the end.
Yeah, that's a last round flyer for sure.
Not a bad
first round skill pick. That's a good lottery pick.
That's who you want. You want the first round wide receivers that are at the back of the draft because you know they're going to get on the field at some point. You don't.
Yeah, you got to. You have to put a first round pick on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to do it because that's how you negotiate prices of the other receivers when you don't want to pay them.
Yeah, like well, this guy did this. He could step into your role, so you're taking 10 mil less, dude. Yeah. Now, and then I think so. Either one of the top two wide receivers, you're gonna be fine. You just hope they stay healthy. CMC, obviously, first round pick, and then you got George Kittle, who to me, George Kittle is the end of the elite tight end tier this year. Cody's having some issues with the headphones.
I got a like a staticky cackle.
I don't know.
It's gone. I fixed it.
All right, cool. But George Kittle to me is the last of the elite tier tight ends this year. Okay, like
of like 5.
No, 8. you have like 6 or 7 this year.
8. According to the list. At least that's where the drop off is.
I don't think Evan Ingram. I don't think Evan Ingram is included in that list. To me, he's number 8, and that's a different tier.
Do you have Kyle Pitts in that tier?
Yep, Kyle Pitts is right before George Kittle, and then right before
Dalton Kincaid in that tier.
Oh
he's number 5.
Okay.
Mark Andrews 4, McBride 3, Kelsey 2, Laporta 1.
There you go.
Yep. So
I would. Sorry, that's a tangent. I was going to bring up Brock Bowers, but that's way in left field. So let's move on.
Yeah. Nobody. I would.
No one gives. No.
I was going to say I'd be really happy.
He shouldn't have gone to Vegas.
That's irrelevant.
It's just yeah.
And we all love Gardner Minshew. To talk about that for a second, we all love Gardner Minshew. But if you look at his PFF scores last year, he was one of the worst quarterbacks in terms of accuracy. They just threw the ball.
I don't think
all over the road.
He's a bad quarterback. He's just a fun story.
He's great. I love.
But he's not a bad quarterback.
Well, he is.
By the numbers, he's bad. But anyway, so
he's better than Derek Carr.
I strongly disagree with that.
No, he's not.
But
Okay, all right. So we still have a little bit of respect for Derek Carr in this podcast. Thank God.
Derek Carr has put up some numbers over his career that Gardner Minshew will never come close to.
Yes. Only because he had the years.
Derek Carr's got way better arm talent than Gardner Minshew. But anyway,
no. Let's chew on this Gardner Minshew. Derek Carr.
I want to go down with Brock Bowers, but let's talk about Gardner Minshew.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's talk about George Kittle.
Nah, we're good on that.
George Kittle. If you want one of the elite tight ends and there was a run on him and you're worried about getting slid into David Njoku, mystery land, what's Deshaun Watson going to do? And you don't want to live in the Dalton Schultz fourth wheel on that offense, then get your George Kittle at the end of that run.
If you got fantasy points for a tight end being entertaining and making you laugh while they're mic'd up, George Kittle's top 3.
George Kittle is one of the best personalities in the NFL. I love that guy.
I agree completely.
He's fantastic.
I really wish he wasn't a Niner.
What was the thing on the receiver? I haven't watched the show, but I saw clips on TikTok about him getting kicked right in the whoopage.
So Harrison Smith, for the Vikings, comes across the middle on a ball that's thrown high, right? Comes across the middle and hits him right in the dick with his helmet, like full speed. And he goes down.
So he was midair. He was airborne when he hit him too.
Right in the dick in the middle of the air. Comes down and he's like holding his nuts and he's like, that was right in the dick, Harrison. God.
And then it just goes on a montage of him going up to 3 different coaches and players on the sideline and just talking to them for like 30 seconds apiece about, don't you love football? Have you ever been speared midair in the dick before?
Yeah.
Because
he goes to the tight end coach on the bench and he's like, I just got hit full speed right in the dick. Has that ever happened to you? The coach is like, nah. And the coach is like, nah. And he's like, well, we could recreate it at practice. He's like, I put the helmet on, you hang out. He's like, don't you
hang
just
out,
love
jump in the
football?
air.
Coach doesn't
Right
say
in the
nothing for
dick.
5 seconds. You just hear him go, "Let's just love football."
Yeah, dude. He's fantastic.
He is.
But anyway, George Kittle, he's great. He's a great personality, fun guy to have on your team. And, he'll have one of those games at some point in the year where it's a George Kittle game. When they got good cornerbacks on the outside, they're shutting down the wide receivers, and it's George Kittle every time they get to the red zone. It's George Kittle on a tight end wheel down the sideline. He'll do that.
If you look at the history of our league, George Kittle has this weird tendency to be on championship teams.
He does, because he turns it on at the end of the year.
He does.
So
That's
It
true.
might be
He's the
sad.
one that I traded to Luis last year for Kelsey, and Kittle was the better end of that trade.
Yep.
Because
Kelsey
didn't come
sandbagged
alive
until the
until
playoffs.
the fantasy season was already over.
yeah,
Sandbagging son of a bitch.
sandbagging Kelsey.
So,
Anyway.
top 3 defense in San Francisco too. Not that we got to waste a whole lot of time talking about defenses, but
Absolutely.
always a good defense in San Fran with Warner in the middle.
Yeah,
Yep.
they'll fly off the board probably. That whoever takes a defense first, if it's not San Francisco, 2 people will react and take San Francisco in that group. So if you want them on defense, the first time you see someone go, put them in the queue.
Baltimore, Dallas, and San Fran. Those are the 3 I think that I could see going. And that somebody's going to take one of them, and the other 2 will probably be gone in the same round.
You could argue the Jets are in there too. Whether
you could
like
argue the
them more than
Jets,
Baltimore, or one of the other ones.
But
they have the best linebacker in the NFL, and they arguably have one of the best DNs. He's top 3 at the very least, to me.
Yeah.
Top
2. Top 2 for me.
Micah's up there. Miles
TJ
Garrett.
Watt's up there, and Nick Bosa.
Yeah,
exactly. Miles Garrett. You're right. Okay, top 4. Top 4 easy, but after that, it's hard.
Yeah, So anyway, let's move on to number 2. Let's talk about the LA Rams and what they're going to do this year.
Exciting fantasy team.
It is. I think there's some pitfalls on this team, though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's going to be some Rams in fantasy football this year that decide kings and peasants.
I don't draft a lot of Rams. I don't have a lot of exposure to the Rams.
You can draft Puka Nacua.
The reason being is because of where they're going.
Yeah.
Puka is being drafted as like the wide receiver 7 right now. And
which is wild.
It's insane. That's way too high. He's done it one time. He did a lot of it with Cooper Kupp injured. Okay, Cooper Kupp is
and then
old.
Did a lot of it when he wasn't.
I understand.
He did still have a pretty good showing. He was outperforming him, but Cooper Kupp is arguably broken now, which would lend to Puka's.
Is that real?
I mean, as far as like wide receiver in our conversation earlier about leg injuries and not quite being the same afterwards. It's not for sure because the future hasn't happened yet, but it's trending that way.
I don't want either of them. I'd rather have Garrett Wilson than Puka. I'd rather have AJ Brown than Puka. I would probably, but I would have those 2 before him. But if it gets to Puka then, and then it's Puka, Drake London, Marvin Harrison, and Devontae Adams.
Puka or Devontae?
Puka for upside, Devontae for safety.
Devontae.
I don't know, man.
Puka. Go ahead.
I mean, one of them's got the Antonio Pierce led offense, and I'm not super sold on that. So I would probably go Puka there.
Okay.
Yeah, Sean McVay and Matt Stafford.
Puka over Devontae. That's where he's going.
But it's almost a coin flip. I do give Puka the nod though.
Puka or Drake London?
Puka. Again, because Drake's never done it. Puka's done it once.
Drake London. Yeah.
Puka Nacua or AJ Brown, because AJ Brown's only going one position ahead.
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown. I hate to say it because he's an Eagle, but it's AJ.
Okay. Puka Nacua or Marvin Harrison Jr.
Puka Nacua.
It's tough because Marvin.
I hate it. Marvin's going to be the guy.
He's going to be the everything in that offense.
Last one, for me, Puka Nacua or Chris Olave.
Puka easily.
Puka Nacua.
So then maybe he does deserve 7 because I just read.
Maybe he does.
We just read off 8, 9.
Isn't that
10,
crazy?
11.
Isn't that wild?
He does deserve it, but I'm probably not going to take him. Just saying.
Yeah. Okay. Puka Nacua because I want to keep playing this game.
Or Smuka Mamua. Anyway, keep going.
I actually
The
didn't
ones
have
that
it
are
in
ahead
here,
of him
so
on
that
this
really
list are
froze me.
clearly ahead of him. And the ones
Okay.
that are behind him, you just maybe
Read
he
'em,
fits
read 'em.
exactly there. Which ones?
Behind.
Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Nico Collins, Drake London, Debo, Brandon Ayuk, Michael Pittman, Mike Evans.
Yeah, he is that high. I'd rather have Puka. That's crazy.
I'd rather have, in that scenario, I think I'd rather have Garrett Wilson, Devontae, and Debo than Puka. Other ones, I'm probably taking
That's
Puka
a good
first.
argument. That's
I
a good
would
argument on all
flip
those.
Garrett ahead of Puka, and then my list would be pretty similar to that.
Devontae's ahead of Puka for me.
He's the great. If you
Devontae
watch
Adams is the
again,
best receiver in the NFL.
not to talk so much about the receiver documentary, but one, it's fantastic, and two,
I've only seen 2 episodes. I can't wait to see the rest.
every wide receiver and every team that is in that show, when they're talking about wide receiver talent, says the best wide
Devontae
receiver
Adams.
in the league is Devontae Adams, and it ain't
Yep.
close.
Every single one of them say it's Devontae, and then we're all just trying to be Devontae.
They all watch his film. Justin Jefferson sits there and watches Devontae Adams run routes for hours.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, dude,
It's true.
There's a reason. He's great. There's not many guys who can do what he can do. So
you notice how we've almost not talked about Cooper Kupp at all?
Yeah, and it's because Cooper, he's being drafted based on like what we saw last year. Okay, he got hurt.
Wasn't he
wasn't
the wide
right.
receiver 1 the season before that?
Triple crown.
He was the Triple Crown wide receiver.
Yeah, not just the wide receiver.
Yeah, he had the best year receiving
He won
than
Cody
anyone ever.
championship, didn't he?
He did.
He was, but
Then
he tore his ACL, dude. He fucked himself up,
Yeah,
So-
it turns out fake knees aren't exactly it yet.
Well,
Can't wait till fake knees are just the tits. It'll be like the new Tommy John surgery. You get a new knee, and then you can just slam it into whatever you want to.
I mean, the thing with Cooper Kupp, right? Like, if you're talking about the person, I think Cooper Kupp is the type of guy who has the drive to come back from an injury like that, because you're talking about a guy who came from a small school and made himself into the best wide receiver in the NFL.
You know his age.
I mean,
though?
that being said, though, when he was at the combine, Steve Smith straight up said, "That's the best receiver here." So like he had already done it, but because he was from a different school and because he was white, there wasn't a lot of like eyeballs saying he could be that amazing.
I think he's peaked. I think he's peaked because of the injury, and it's
you're
sad
right.
to say it. But when you saw him that year, he was a Triple Crown, and he was a cartoon character. It was like Kyler Murray, that stretch of that one season where you could see smoke under his feet, and nobody could touch him. It was a human joystick.
Not only that, but like his broken tackle ability was nuts.
He was so shifty. I mean, you
so
saw
strong.
You saw it a little bit when he was coming back from that injury, when they were doing the foot fire drills, right? We all saw that. Like, he's got all the skills to do it. It's just, does he have that top flight athletic ability to really come back and be a wide receiver 1 again with an alpha dog on his team now too? So like,
and Puka's huge.
Big dude.
Puka's massive.
Yeah. He's got a.
All right. So where's Cooper Kupp getting taken? Let's find out right now. Where's he going?
His ADP's got him at the back end of wide receiver 2. He's a bottom end wide receiver 2. He's gone 38th overall. So beginning of the 4th round.
Who's he going around? Is what I'm interested in.
He is going directly between Devonta Smith and DK Metcalf.
I want him more than both of those guys.
Nope. Would rather have either one of them.
I would rather have. I mean, that list seems pretty accurate to me. I like DK first. I like Devonta least. Devonta, I might take over Cooper. Cooper might be last out of those 3 for me. Keeping in mind that he was on my last place team last year, so there's a little bit of bias in my world.
Keep in mind he was on my first place team 2 years ago, so bias included.
3 years.
And that's the neutral party.
3 years ago.
I don't like him.
Cooper Kupp or Zay Flowers?
Cooper Kupp.
That one. I'm probably taking
I want Zay Flowers, but like the answer was Cooper Kupp. I went from the hip.
Cooper Kupp or Stephon Diggs in Houston?
Cooper Kupp for sure.
Really? Because Stephon Diggs going ahead of him.
Ooh, I think Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs there for me.
Don't want Diggs this year.
Okay.
I think Diggs lost it too.
Okay.
On the range.
Interesting.
But
can I get a couple more names? I'm really
Yeah.
interested in Cooper Kupp.
Amari Cooper.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson throwing the ball.
That's fucked up.
Matt Stafford.
That's fucked
All
up.
right, so here's
Kupp.
20. Here's 20 through 25 because Cooper's at 22. All right, you got Stephon Diggs. This is in order. DK
Diggs.
Metcalf,
Kupp.
Cooper Kupp, Devonta Smith,
Kupp.
Amari Cooper, Malik Neighbors.
Can't take Malik Neighbors
And then
because
Zay Flowers directly.
can't take
Kinda
Malik
intrigued.
Neighbors. Danny
Kind of
Dimes.
intrigued. Kind of
We all are
intrigued.
intrigued about Malik Neighbors. You can't take him.
The year before
you can't
last
put
year,
him on your team.
the year before last year, Daniel
Mhm.
Jones, like last year was horrendous for the Giants, right? The year before that, Daniel Jones was the top 5 quarterback in terms of accuracy. Just saying. Just saying, he didn't have any time to throw the ball. Don't forget.
Well, now he's got no Saquon to keep
He also
anyone off of
didn't
him.
finish the season with a quarterback rating of 100, like he hasn't in any of season of his career.
Interesting point.
I don't know, man. I think
don't know,
Malik
man.
Neighbors is going to be fun, especially as a wide receiver.
I think he's going to be fun. I don't think I want to spend the draft capital on Malik Neighbors.
Not around those other guys. I'm going to take.
When
all
I
those
see
other
Malik
guys.
Neighbors go, I'm going to be disappointed because I want him on my team, but like he'll go 2 or 3 rounds before he'd be on my team.
I think I would take almost every single one of those guys, other than maybe Amari Cooper over Cooper Kupp. All of them.
Stephon Diggs?
Not Stephon Diggs. My bad.
Okay.
I don't like Stephon Diggs.
All right.
But to be
Interesting.
realistic, I'm not taking either of them. Taking any of those other guys in that space. So
Is there a
Interesting
third
stuff here.
receiver on this team worth of shit?
nope.
Hmm.
Now with Demarcus Robinson.
Marcus Robinson's coming in at way down there.
Not with fantasy like conversation.
If you're taking a depth piece late in the draft and all the rookie first rounders that fall all the way down are gone, then maybe you could take them. But
Or a
that's
handcuff,
not really-
maybe, if you have Cooper on your team, or is that a bad idea?
It's not a bad idea. Lottery picks are lottery picks.
Because he'd be
Whatever.
stepping right into that wide
Whatever
receiver
your-
two slot, right?
Whatever your strategy is, fucking sling it.
There was a fun party with Tutu Atwell for like 4 weeks when Cooper was
Mhm.
out, right? So
Yeah.
they're gonna Matt Stafford slings it enough and accurately that he can make anybody who's catching the ball as the second fiddle be good.
He's
Yeah.
got
I-
a cannon, and he was built to play NFL quarterback. Matt Stafford is one of the best pure quarterbacks that we've seen in 20 years.
He's fantastic.
Which is ironic because every team in every division we've done, we've started with the quarterback, and we leapfrogged the fuck over Matthew Stafford because the wide receivers are so much more exciting on this team.
Yeah. Well, Matt Stafford is going way outside the QB1, right? He's
Yeah.
going around like 19. So
Well, he's got like Aaron Rodgers-esque like vibes to him in fantasy. He's a great quarterback, and it's not that fantasy relevant. It's just it's weird how quarterbacks can be like that.
But he's one
like
of those
that.
quarterbacks you can start the season where you pick him up super late, 10th, 11th round, and he's like QB5 after week 3.
You're
yeah,
right.
he easily can
Easily
do
be
that. Yeah,
Jared Goff did that, I think, last year. Same, like
did.
not draftable. And then after a month and a half of football, he's the QB4.
He's going to do it again this year. Jared Goff's QB16. He's going to be in the top 10, I guarantee it. But you know that
Yeah,
Jared Goff's numbers when he plays in a dome are phenomenal. Guess how
And
many
he
games they
plays in a
don't play in a
dome.
guess how many games they don't play in a dome this year? Out of
3.
3 games.
Yeah.
That's it.
And how many of them are outside of our fantasy season?
Probably at least one, you know.
Interesting.
So,
stuff.
but anyway, because I know they play the Packers late in the season.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's the home or away game, but it's the home game for the Packers, so I might be outside of that because I was looking at going to that one. Anyway,
Nice.
um,
Don't go to that. You'll have a really bad time.
they beat them last year in Detroit. That's
You heard what I
fantastic
said.
on
You heard what I said.
Thanksgiving.
They definitely play in LA, and it's October.
We were talking
What?
about Jared Goff.
Oh, my bad. I went Rams because of Jared Goff.
I'm like, I don't know when this
Okay.
Detroit Green Bay
That's
game's going
it.
down in LA, but I can't
Come
wait.
on, dude.
I
It's
can't
one
wait
of
to
them- it's
figure
one of
that
them
out.
deals. They're trying
Switching-
games in
Badass.
London. They're bringing Midwest teams to the coast. Yeah, they're really mixing it up.
Yeah.
Nuclear Armageddon has kicked
Turns
off.
out they're actually
First
supposed to
place
play in
get
Mexico
bombed
City, but they're already planning on not, so they're just going to play in
is-
LA.
the field,
Close enough.
field's definitely not going to be ready, so they're already
Mm-mm.
playing on SoFi.
Still better than Oakland.
Yeah, God,
Still
dude.
better than Oakland.
Yeah, the stupid ass baseball field they played on.
Stupid ass baseball bitches.
Anyway, so the other ones we got to talk about are the running backs because there's an interesting debate there too.
I agree.
Same thing. I've said it before already this year. Kyron Williams is a bit rich for me. I think there's other guys that can do almost as much as him. Even if he has a great year and I lose 10, 20 points for being risk adverse at his ADP.
His fantasy love is going to really cost him.
Yeah. I mean, he's going as like the RB8.
Yeah,
and
that's too high.
I want Derrick Henry, and I might even want Isaiah Pacheco more than him, or Travis Etienne.
I could do ETN, but not Pacheco.
Yeah,
I do not want a season-long Kansas City Chief running back on my team.
I don't know, dude.
I've seen, like there's gonna be like a month and a half where you're like, hell yeah, I'm Isaiah Pacheco and then all of a sudden Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to get
not even
the
him
majority
anymore.
of the fantasy. You know what I'm saying, though.
Well, it's Deneric Prince. Deneric Prince got the second reps in camp today over Clyde. So.
Do you think that Kyron Williams and Blake Corum coming in still going to average 20 carries a game? Because when Kyron Williams was getting that workload, he was like averaging 140 rushing yards a game with a touchdown in like 80% of them.
They brought in Blake Corum because Kyron couldn't stay healthy. There's no way they're going to feed him the ball the way they fed it to him last year. They want both of them healthy so that they can use them on the playoff run. That's the whole point of Blake Corum.
And Blake Corum is going to vulture.
Yeah. I mean, because if you watch him at Michigan, that man knows how to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
He scored a whole lot of them.
So what is he for you? Is he a mid running back too? Kyron, I mean, not Blake.
Kyron, to me, I would be much happier with him at like RB13 than RB8. I'd be fine with him at RB13.
Yeah, high RB2.
So
the lowest end RB1, but I still feel like that's a little high. But I mean,
Kyron Williams or Rachaad White?
I'd take Kyron because of the upside, but Rashad's going to get a shit ton of volume.
Kyron Williams or Josh Jacobs?
Josh Jacobs.
Kyron
Williams or James Cook? Because that's the wide receiver 14, running back 14.
That's a hard one because it's just like I'm not gonna take Kyron,
Williams.
so he's not gonna be there. But if it was between those two, I would take Kyron. If Kyron
Williams
fell,
or now that we've already covered that division, Achane. Because they're 8 and 9.
Achane's going way too high. Achane's going way too high, so you have to take Kyron Williams.
Achane's going way too high because there's a sure.
Mostert's the number one running back.
There's a for sure split on that.
So you agree that Kyron's not going way too high? He's just going a little too high.
He's going 5-6 spots too high for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Kyron Williams, Joe Mixon.
Well, I love me some Joe Mixon this year.
Joe Mixon is running back 16. He's going twice as far into the draft.
I know.
That seems like a great value.
You can get Joe Mixon at the end of the 4th, or you can.
That seems like a great value.
We go 2 top flight wide receivers and a tight end, and we land on
Joe Mixon.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot of my drafts, by the way, giving my strategy away to all of you. But anyway,
nobody wants your 4th place strategy.
Love Joe Mixon, 2nd place. Watch him up. Anyway, now
we're going off averages.
There's no tight end in LA this year. It's Colby Parkinson. He's named after a disease. You don't want him. So let's move on. You don't want him, dude.
Sounds good. Let's move on.
I think you're gonna see the Arizona Cardinals slide into 3rd place.
Time out. Blake Corum, where does he go?
He's going way late. He's a great handcuff.
Is it like lottery time, or is it like
he's like in the 40s?
He's roughly the end of the 10th round, middle of the 10th.
Okay.
He's going around. So the guys you can get around him is where you start seeing the top flight running backs that were drafted to be RB2s that are the heir apparent in the backfield, like Trey Benson, Marshawn Lloyd in Green Bay. Those guys, the big time running backs that were taking the draft. Jonathan Brooks is the highest rookie running back because he has the clearest path to a job when he gets healthy from his ACL in Carolina, because he only has to beat Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard. The other guys got to beat out like a James Conner, a Josh Jacobs, guys like that,
Blake Corum is going 3 spots, ahead of Zeke and 2 spots behind Nick Chubb.
Taking Blake Corum over
Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is getting on my fucking team, dude. I
Nick
cannot
Chubb,
I cannot believe You guys saw him squatting.
He
Yeah,
did
you
squat
saw
like
his
600
injuries.
pounds.
Did you guys see that bar?
Yeah. He did
Holding
squat like
static
600
weight
pounds.
is different than the dynamic running
I know
between the
that.
tackles. Though.
We all know that.
You
But
gotta be able to
like,
move.
I don't know if everybody knows that, but I think most people should know that.
There was a he moved up best ball drafts after that video came out. He
You
moved
got
up
to.
like 5 spots. So I mean, it's a good sign. It means
It
that
is a good sign.
it can bear.
If
It
Nick
can bear,
Chubb is gonna run, he's a 4 overall pick.
he's not going to finish that high because he's going to miss.
Yeah, he's gonna miss a month.
He's
gonna
going
miss a
to
month.
for sure be on the pup. So that's 4 games, and then maybe he's ready at the end of that.
God,
So
Was he wearing knee wraps in his squat video?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't
Okay,
remember.
because that would be important information. If he's got,
I don't think-
if
I
you
don't
ain't
think he
wearing
was.
those, you ain't running in those. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think he was.
All right.
I don't remember.
Because I mean, like our eyes were on his knees, right?
For 100%.
Yeah,
And the
like-
bar that was
Yeah, you see the
splitting in
bar,
half.
yeah, and then you go right to the leg. You're like, am I
Yeah.
about to see a disaster video?
Yeah, and then he hit 2 reps like a fucking beast.
Yep, no
that's
knee reps
insane.
at all. Not even a brace. Wild.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you might that's the thing. If your team is set and you want to take one risk, that's a hell of a risk that could pay off for you. If that guy comes in and you're 2-2, he comes in week 5, and you got like Nick Chubb and 2 top flight running backs sitting in there, I might carry you, dude. I mean, I'm not mad at it, but I
I'm
don't
be
know.
mad if whoever gets Nick Chubb. God, I hope it's me.
I don't know, dude.
I need that redemption.
Depends how the draft falls, dude.
I missed a whole season
I
of
think
Nick
we're
Chubb.
I think we're an hour in and 2 teams down, so maybe it's time to move on to the
Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, a lot less to talk about in these next 2, so we're all right.
no wrong.
Yeah, let's sling it. Arizona Cardinals.
Wait. Arizona's coming in last. Do
dude.
we not agree?
I think
Honestly, you could flip them 1 and 2.
All right, let's talk Arizona then.
Let's talk Arizona.
Kyler coming off the board at QB7, I think right now. QB7,
Okay.
QB8. I'm a little bit in on Kyler this year. If you're waiting a little bit on quarterbacks, because he's
How
got
much is a
some
little
guys
bit?
like if the other guys fall off the board,
I like him at QB7. That's why I like him.
I like him at his price.
Mhm.
You know, he's
He can
the
run,
last
and he's
of
got
the-
Marvin Harrison Jr.
He's the last of the truly elite mobile quarterbacks that's going off the board, which is something that you want. You know what I mean? Because
Okay.
you got Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar, right?
Mhm.
And then you got Patty Mahomes, and then you got Anthony Richardson,
Mhm.
and then at number 6 you got C.J. Stroud, and then you got Kyler Murray, and then Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, Jade Daniels. So
Jaden Daniels a little higher on that list for me.
I mean, if there's an opportunity to get another great wide receiver right around where Kyler's going, then I'm probably taking the wide receiver. But if I got Marvin Harrison, I'm definitely taking Kyler because I want that stack. You know what I mean?
It's just you have to know Kyler Murray is going to miss time, and if he misses time during the playoffs, which it feels like he misses weeks 12 through 16 pretty religiously, could ruin the most important part of your season.
I think Kyler's career is almost in the toilet. I think he's a season or 2 away from being a free agent.
I think you're right. Still a lot of fantasy value because of the way he plays his game.
I
You
think
say
that
that,
man was.
but his rushing stats and his I granted because of missing time, but he's been going down the drain since his first 2 years in the league. 16 games played his first 2 years, then 14, then 11, then 8. He's not
been
doing
injured.
well.
I don't want to ask a lot of extended math here, but I would like to know his points per game that he's playing in. You know what I'm saying? Like how's he do in those scenarios? Because I already expect him to miss time, but when he's on the field, those numbers are going to be high. Can I put together a team that takes advantage of that and then has another quarterback later?
Well, you can kind of do some mental math perhaps, but in all of his 8 games he played last year, he hit right around 250 yards. Passing was his ceiling. His rushing, he only got 3 touchdowns in 3 weeks. He didn't get anything in the other 5, and he averages about 20 to 40 rushing yards. So you're looking at maybe 15 to 18 points as a ceiling.
I'd say that's
a ceiling.
I think that's
Almost
a
a
floor,
ceiling.
dude.
I think that sounds like an average to me.
If you throw 200 yards, that's 8 points. If you
Yeah.
have one passing touchdown, which is about his average, maybe 1.2, that's another one. So that's 12 points. You add 40 yards rushing, that's 16 points. Okay, so average, yeah. Average is about 15 to 18 points.
That's
The
decent.
thing is, though, look at who he was throwing the ball to last year. He had
That's a good
Michael
point.
Wilson and Greg Dortch. Okay, he's gonna have Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, and Zay Jones this year.
People
That's
like
a lot
Michael
different.
Wilson, though. You don't hear a lot of bad talk about that guy.
I like Michael Wilson a lot. I think he's a solid wide receiver too on that team. I'd love to have him late in the draft. He's a big body, talented guy. I liked him coming out of college. Got him on my dynasty team.
So it's weird to use having him as a counter argument to why Kyle Murray might have had
Michael
subpar
Wilson
numbers.
Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch are not the same combined as Marvin Harrison Jr. is. That's a big difference. Talking about a generational talent at wide receiver, son of a Hall of Famer.
That's a really good point.
You know, like,
and he's 9 inches taller than his Hall of Fame father, which is bizarre.
look what CeeDee Lamb.
Who did Marvin Harrison fuck? You know what I mean? Like, did he go out and like get himself some?
I don't know,
like alien woman.
Typically, the children are bigger than their parents. It's pretty normal for that to happen. Actually, it is. Like, that's what it was said about him. Especially look at Shador and Dion. Shador is taller than Dion too, by like at least 3-4 inches.
Right.
I'm almost
Well,
positive.
that's one example.
Yeah, but anyway,
that philosophy would indicate that we're all growing all the time.
We are,
like, as a species.
Look at people in the 1930s and look at people
on average we are.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Are we getting bigger?
The average,
yes.
Have you never heard the average height of people like 150 years ago was like 3 inches shorter than what it is now?
Yeah, dude.
I'm pulling that number out a little bit, but
no, they were like, that's right. Have you ever gone?
It is.
It's things
that I've heard that I've never seen proven. You know what I mean? And like,
all you got to do, man, is go to some old school American town with a building from the 1930s and try to walk in the door if you're over 6 foot. It ain't happening without you bending over, dude. Like, they built their houses for hobbits.
The average height of British males, you can see this is the first thing that popped up. Between 1871 and 75 is about 165 centimeters. So no, we're not off the rails. And 1971 to 75 was 180 centimeters. So
science says we are getting
larger,
bigger
because of nutrition and science. That's why people were not as well fed back then.
Okay,
you know. But anyway, to move on from that conversation, Marvin Harrison, first round, maybe early second wide receiver is probably where he's going to go. Probably not first round, probably early in the second is where Marvin Harrison's going to go, because he's like the wide receiver 9. Okay. Exciting, could be volatile. The one thing about Marvin Harrison is that when he arrived in high school, he was ready to go. When he arrived at Ohio State, he was ready to go. So I think when he arrives in the NFL, he's going to be ready to go. And the NFL would agree with me based on where he was taken in the draft.
No one expects him to take any time getting ready.
No.
Nope.
And I think he's going to be fantastic. I think you're going to see him flirt with finishing in the top 12 wide receivers. I would not be surprised if he ends up like wide receiver 15 because of playing in Arizona, but I don't think he goes much lower than that in terms of his finish if he plays all the games.
Gotcha.
You know, because
do you think there's a chance that he ends up being top 8 wide receiver in fantasy?
I think his ceiling is he gets into the top 8, but he's not capable with the offense and with his experience of being like a wide receiver, like top 3, you know.
Okay.
But
so I'm saying, like, do you think he can do what Justin Jefferson did his rookie year?
Because that's the expectations people are going to have to draft him, or at least
I think
hopes,
so.
maybe not expectations.
I saw him make NFL catches at Ohio State constantly, like 2 feet in. Like, the guy wasn't doing the 1 foot on the sideline. Like, he's catching.
They don't anymore.
Like in the NFL,
you know what I mean? Like when you watch those calls, you don't see any 1 foot catches anymore. They're all showcasing
playing for
themselves.
a job if they're good enough.
Exactly. So I mean, and he has a great attitude too. Like, if you listen to him talk, in the draft profile, they did interviews with him where they're breaking down film where they're saying was that, there's a ball that was overthrown, but it was kind of within his catch radius, and he got his fingertips on it, was not able to bring it in. And what he said was, the guy asked him, is that a bad ball or like kind of a bad throw by the quarterback, right? And he's like, well, I still got my hands on it, so I could have made a better play on the ball. And he didn't say anything else. Like, you know what I mean? He thinks any ball that like gets within, an inch of his hands, he should catch. And so it's like, I think he has the work ethic. He has the pedigree. I've seen it. I've watched it.
Definitely got the
Unfortunately,
pedigree. Think about the house that he grew up in. You know what
that's
I
what
mean?
I'm saying, man. It's
Being
all
raised
there.
by, it's not just a phenom coming through like JJ. He's somebody with, the foundation that can succeed because his father lived it for an entire career.
JJ had pedigree too, just not the level that Marvin Harrison did. Both of JJ's brothers played at LSU and were starters, so that whole family is
Sure,
is
but
talented,
the idea of second generation success is a different one too.
right? Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, I think you're going to be happy with Marvin Harrison if you take him. There's an opportunity cost there because you're probably going to have to take him before Devontae or Debo or some of those other guys you were talking about that are proven. But you have the untapped potential. You don't know what this guy
true.
can do.
It's true.
And that's exciting,
It is exciting.
And
I mean, I don't want to watch any Arizona Cardinals games. And I hate that, like,
I do if that man's on my fantasy team. I'm sitting down 15 minutes early to get that on a television if he's on my fantasy roster.
Yeah, I want it on as like a fifth game. You know what I mean? Just because I don't give a shit about the Arizona Cardinals, and I would hate to, like, I don't know, alter my Sunday viewing habits because of that.
Get the Sunday ticket. You can watch them down in the corner. But anyway,
I'll have the Sunday ticket.
Yeah,
and he'll be on the corner.
When you got 4 games on your TV, you've got that one on your cell
on your phone. Yeah, you have it on your phone.
Yeah,
you gotta keep looking at it.
Yeah, well, no, you get your laptop out and you have 4 games on TV and 4 games on the laptop. That's how you do it like a pro. But anyway, now you do with desktop too. It's not the
my desktop is my TV though.
Well, you need to upgrade your life, sir. Now, anyway,
I just said I was gonna get a laptop. Why you gotta come at me like that?
I don't know, dude. You're the one that's griping about it.
Oh, Jesus Christ! A little HP, little $300 device.
Fucking guy.
Guys,
get yourself a 4K.
Little segue back to the running backs on this team because I just had a thought, and I got it. Was it last year? Was it the year before where James Conner was the last pick of the first round by Austin?
It was last year. No, I think it was last year.
Nah.
No,
sure? There's no way
to activate the league so I can start looking at the draft ship.
You do need to activate the league. You do need to activate the league. That's
okay. Fine, I will. I think James Conner.
That goddamn tone with me.
I think James Conner was last year. I'm almost positive.
God, I hope not. I hope not because I couldn't.
It's unbelievable.
I think it was last year as well.
It's because the year before he was great. The year before was a year where James Conner like dominated. He was like
right at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I hope not. I hope he didn't take him last year in the first fucking round. God damn.
James Conner this year is a guy
where I'm looking at his. I'm sorry to interrupt, but his stats. He hit 1,000 yards for the first time in his career last year.
Yeah, well, because they had nothing else. They had.
He wasn't out carrying. He wasn't really out attempting his prior years by much. Only 7 touchdowns, but 1,000 yards. That's 200 yards more than almost his best season before.
Because he can't stay healthy.
Yeah. He had way too many touchdowns that one year. It was a fluke and a half.
It was the year where they came out the gates and were beating the brakes off everybody. Mm-hmm. And then it all fell apart for him, kind of like it did for Philadelphia last year. But so the interesting thing in the running back room to me is, yes, James Conner is going to be the starter, but we know his injury history. We know he's getting old, and we know that Trey Benson is an extremely talented running back out of a school. I was going to say Texas. He didn't come out of Texas. He's from Florida State, right? But he was a big part of their success last year. He was considered. It was between him, Jonathan Brooks, and maybe Marshawn Lloyd for who were the best running backs in this draft class. And he landed probably in one of the better situations in terms of he could come in and take 10 carries a game, not have the whole weight of the offense on him, and use his explosiveness to do some things. If he gets his legs under him in the NFL, James Conner goes down week 5. You could see a league winner in Trey Benson.
His 40 time was a 4.39.
He's fast as hell, strong kid.
Damn.
Played amazing at Florida State.
4.39.
It's arguable to me that you could say he's the best running back in the class. Like he's right there. So
Okay.
I think you should heavily be looking at Trey Benson, especially if you took James Conner. But even if you didn't, and you're looking for some depth at running back in the later rounds, Trey Benson is an excellent target.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then you got Trey McBride, if we're talking about tight ends, because I don't think the other wide receivers are worth mentioning. They're all late round guys. You got Trey McBride at tight end. He's going in the top 5. Monster, reminds me a lot of Mark Andrews. Similar build in his body, similar movement, similar hands, similar ability in route running. A lot of comps can be made there. He's a very solid guy, very athletic tight end. Came out of nowhere last year and finished the season really strong. He's the wide receiver 2 on this offense. And anytime a tight end's in that position, like Mark Andrews is in Baltimore, you want that tight end because they're going to throw the ball to him. He ain't going to be blocking. He's going to be running routes out of the slot. So
Okay.
I like Trey McBride.
Okay. All right.
Yep. So should we talk about I think that's it for Cardinals.
Yeah, let's get to Seattle. Let's get to Seattle.
Chef Gino.
No fantasy relevance.
I think he could have a better year this year than he did last year because they improved their offensive line. Then you got year 2 JSN. And Pete Carroll's gone. And so we're probably going to see a little bit more viable passing offense now because Pete Carroll just wanted to run the ball all the goddamn time and throw the ball to JSN 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So like hopefully
who's the head coach there now?
Shane Waldron. Shane Waldron's not the head coach, he's the offensive coordinator. And Shane Waldron no, Shane Waldron is not that. Shane Waldron went to Chicago.
Michael McDonald?
Mike McDonald.
Michael McDonald's the head coach of Seattle?
He's spent the last 2 years as the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens.
Who's the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks? That's what I'm curious about. Because Shane Waldron was, and he went to Chicago, which is why some people are hyped on
Ryan Grubb.
There you go.
Don't know who that is. Okay. But anyway, hopefully he's a guy who likes to throw the ball more because you have one of the better wide receiver rooms in the NFL with these 3 guys. You
only do for a year or 2 more because Lockett's hitting the end of his rope.
Yeah. Lockett's in like the late stage Tyler Boyd in Cincinnati phase right now, but he's more talented than Tyler Boyd, if you ask me. Like Tyler Boyd in the last 2 years has kind of fallen off. You can see a little bit, wasn't really doing the things as much. I think you're going to start seeing that with Lockett, but maybe he's got another year or 2 in him,
Okay.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Lockett's like a second flex position kind of starter guy. He's probably not making it to your wide receiver 1, your wide receiver 2 at any point in the year.
I just don't really want him because I think JSN is going to ascend to that role and they're going to use him down the field. I think again, PFF numbers, JSN had fantastic numbers in his routes, his open scores, what he was doing. Their offense just sucked last year. Like, they couldn't get him the ball in a way that allowed him to use his skills. And you got to remember, this is a guy that played on the same team as Marvin Harrison and by all accounts was kind of the alpha when he was there. So I think Marvin Harrison was a freshman when JSN was there. You had I'm pretty sure Marvin Harrison and JSN were the year after Chris Olave left because JSN was the understudy to Olave before that. And then the next
but a 2 or 3 year difference at the college level is a huge deal most of the time. Yeah, it's just about development, and that can be wiped out by your rookie or sophomore year in the NFL.
It's true.
Yeah, I don't want to put too much stock into that wide receiver room
One
at Ohio
stat
State.
that is kind of wild to me looking at the ADP, Tyler Lockett's going 2 places after Jameson Williams, and I would so much rather have Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams is going to be fun this year.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
all about James
Yep.
Williams, especially at wide receiver 48. Let's go, dude.
We're gonna call that a deep flyer.
Yeah, deep
Deep
JMO.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
I'm gonna take a flyer on the fastest man in the league.
He's very fast. Anyway, if we're really breaking down the wide receivers, obviously DK is number one. Love DK. Would love to have DK as my wide receiver 2 on my team. All about it. I think
I'm out.
I think you see him have
Wide
a much
receiver
better
2.
year.
You think wide receiver
2
Yeah,
on my
okay.
team.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay,
He's
okay.
my second guy. You know,
I'm out on
AJ
DK Metcalf.
AJ Brown, DK Metcalf sounds great to me. Let's go.
I don't
Yeah.
want offense in Seattle.
I think they're going to be better than you think.
But
Love
any
that.
offense in Seattle, it would be DK Metcalf.
You have you have arguably the worst defense in the league in Seattle.
Mhm.
Arguably, they're rated one of the lowest in the league. So what does that mean? They're gonna have to throw the ball. Pete Carroll's not there. You've seen Geno be able
Where are you
to.
taking DK?
DK is right. He's like 18, 19, somewhere in there to me. It's about where
Taking
I take.
Nakua or DK Metcalf.
Oh, Puka, obviously. Come on, man.
Okay, all right.
It's not. That's not close. Puka has a much better quarterback and is in a better offensive system.
Yeah, no,
Michael
we
Pittman or DK Metcalf.
I'm on
Michael Pittman.
Yeah,
Michael Pittman.
probably take Pittman.
Ayuk or DK
Ayuk.
Metcalf.
Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah. He's not in that tier to me. He's in the Mike Evans tier to me.
Okay, Mike Evans or DK Metcalf.
Probably rather have Mike Evans.
Mike Evans. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You don't.
I'm just telling you, but I'm going to take
okay.
I'm going to take DK before Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp in that tier of guys, though.
I'm not.
Yeah,
That's
that's
taking
where
all of
it
those
is,
guys
man.
in front of DK Metcalf.
Well, you can have them. I'll take DK.
DK Metcalf or Keenan Allen.
DK Metcalf.
Ooh. Ooh.
DK Metcalf, dog. We don't know what Caleb Williams is going to be.
Dude, you know what Keenan Allen did last year?
What do you do?
I'm aware.
Was like fantasy wide receiver 5.
You know where he's playing this year?
Yeah, I know. It's in Chicago, and you
Chicago.
just don't pick Chicago for anything.
Yeah,
He
dude.
wasn't fantasy wide receiver 5.
What was he?
He was the top 10 for
I don't
sure.
know. Was he? Oh, these are projections for this year. I thought these were those numbers for last year. I'm like, he had 900 yards.
We were saying it all year
Yeah,
long.
no, it's-
Cody got like pigeonholed into him, and then he was fantastic.
Yeah, I did.
We
I got
talked shit about
pigeonholed
it
and it
all
worked
year.
out great.
I do
Yeah.
remember that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So anyway, DK is the one, right? I think JSN should go before Lockett. I like some JSN as like a
Should.
depth piece, your 4th, 5th wide receiver on your team. That's a solid place for him. Easily could slide into a flex and a good matchup.
Okay.
And then Tyler Lockett, if you want him, sure. I haven't taken a lot of Tyler Lockett because it doesn't
It's
excite
over.
doesn't
It's
excite
over.
me. They don't really have a tight end either worth talking about.
They have a running back we're talking about?
They
Kenneth
absolutely do.
Walker's worth
Yeah.
talking about for sure.
Where's he
Ken-
going?
It's like 16.
Yeah, he's like he's a top end RB2.
Yeah. Home run hitter.
I like some Kenneth Walker.
He's
That
going
man
between
gets-
James Cook and Joe Mixon.
Man gets no yards or he gets 50 yards. That's the type of running back he is.
What was the name besides Joe Mixon you compared him to there?
James Cook.
I think. Ooh, that's interesting. I feel like I'd rather have Kenneth Walker than James Cook.
If they come out as a passing offense, you're going to be sad you took.
You're right,
Walker.
but I don't know what it's like there.
I think they
I'm
got
not
rid of
taking
Pete
James
Carroll
Cook
'cause they
either.
want to throw the ball.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking James Cook either. Like in that scenario, I'm taking Joe Mixon, but like, I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
I'd
Give me
rather
another
have-
name. Give me another name. Give me another name.
Alvin Kamara.
Alvin Kamara.
Really? He's going after him. Ramondre
It is.
Stevenson.
God. Everybody before Ramondre. That offense is going to be terrible.
Yeah, but
Aaron
they just
Jones in Minnesota.
Not Aaron Jones.
That's tough.
You're
That's
getting
really
gross.
tough.
I don't want any of them running backs.
Najee Harris.
Kenneth Walker.
Yes.
John Gray
100%.
Swift.
Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker. Where's DeAndre Swift at?
It's like
I was just
20.
going down the list. So those are all.
No. What city is he playing for?
Chicago.
Thank you. I didn't know that.
Okay,
Yeah.
Rashad White. Or Kenneth Walker.
I want
Kenneth
Rashad
Walker.
White. I want
Kenneth
Rashad
Walker.
White.
Kenneth Walker.
Rashad White's
Josh
going to get
Jacobs.
way more volume.
Josh Jacobs or Kenneth Walker?
I don't really want any part of Josh Jacobs, man.
I think we found a very nasty range of running backs where I don't really like any of them.
Yeah, no, they all sound like I'm taking a receiver.
Called
Yeah.
the running back. Called the running back dead zone, and you
Mm.
don't take them there because they usually don't do much.
Mm.
The running backs that go running back like 19 through 25 are typically running backs where you could have gotten a great wide receiver. And a lot of those guys generally do not finish as running back twos. There's always guys that are outside the top 25 that end up being way better running backs. So if you want to think about it strategically and what data says, there's, in my mind, what I like to do is you either go hero running back, which is you take one of the best ones in the first round, and then you go heavy wide receiver, and then you get a quarterback and an elite tight end. And then around 7, 8, you start coming back around, and that's where you scoop up a Jerome Ford, who's the running back one on his team, a James Conner, who's a running back one on his team, a Raheem Mostert, who's a running back one on his team. And you don't need him to do that much
Raheem Mostert,
because everywhere
man.
else on your team is amazing. And you got one guy that's 1.5 running back.
I'm gonna hate it if I end up getting fucking Raheem Mostert the year that it goes away. Because I like Raheem Mostert so much.
Fantastic.
But
player.
But you could just see after week 2 him not be on the team anymore, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal to Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's really good. But based on like
he
people they're bringing in, and yeah.
That could get hurt. He almost will get hurt because it's every year.
He didn't get hurt last year.
No, he scored 20 touchdowns last year.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I would love Raheem Mostert. The price.
Running backs never do that back-to-back years that aren't named LaDainian Tomlinson, so that doesn't really matter.
He's not going to do that again, but he could score 15.
They are going to score a lot in Miami.
Yeah, dude, because their defense
score a lot
sucks down there too.
Yeah.
So,
is there anything else?
You could talk a little bit about what's his face, the backup that they took. His name's escaping me right now. They took a first-round running back last year.
A first-round running back? Really?
Yeah,
Charbonnet?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean not in this draft, but last year's draft. Got it.
He's going late. He's going late.
I think that was a wasted draft pick.
It was kind of silly to me.
He's a handcuff pick, I think.
Yeah.
Because he steps in as the only probably workhorse in that offense, and they will feed the rock. I mean, I say that with Pete Carroll. It isn't.
Yeah, we don't know.
So maybe not.
We don't know.
I think they got rid of Pete Carroll because they want to throw the ball, man. I'm just telling you. I don't think it's going to be the same thing out there.
They're going to ask them to do something different.
100%.
Sure, but if Ken Walker goes out, you'd have one guy in that backfield, and it'd be Charbonnet. So it'd be an instant improvement of value for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, if I'm taking guys on that team, I'm taking DK, I'm taking JSN later. Maybe I take a whiff at Charbonnet real late in the draft and hope that Ken Walker goes down. That's probably what I'm doing with the Seahawks.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
Well,
yeah.
Wrap her up.
We did it.
We did it. We covered it. We did a lot of comparison hunting in this one. So, take a
welcome to the NFC.
But welcome to the NFC, folks. Good times.
Mm-hmm.
Should we go south? Should we go east? Should we go north? Where we go next week?
Go north.
Hell yeah.
Let's go north.
Let's go. Yeah,
I'm ready to talk about the Lions, man. Let's go.
Packers. Let's talk about the
Vikings.
Soon to be crowned NFC North champion, Green Bay cheesehead loving.
Oh, we must have stopped recording then. Okay,
let's go, baby.
Yeah, that's good.
Let it be known that the host of this pod will always talk some cheese. Let's go.
Hey, since